In that same speech that I just played a clip from, that same rally where he goes back to the hydroxychloroquine nonsense, that was about 8 weeks ago. This is from that same speech.
Worse than Afghanistan. How about that? Worse than Afghanistan, where, by the way, I started the process. All the troops are coming back home. They couldn't stop the process. 21 years is enough, don't we think? 21 years. They couldn't stop the process. They wanted to, but it was very tough to stop the process by a government that wouldn't last. The only way they last is if we're there. What are we going to say? We'll stay for another 21 years, then we'll stay for another 50. The whole thing is ridiculous. So we're bringing our troops back home from Iraq. We're bringing the troops back home from Afghanistan.
I started the process, all the troops coming back home. They couldn't stop the process once I started it. It was very tough to stop the process. And then he says the government there won't last. The only way they last is if we're there. It's ridiculous. So I started the process. They couldn't stop it to bring all the troops home. The audience applauds. That was 8 weeks ago. And you know, whether or not you think it is a good idea or a bad idea to have brought home U.S. troops from the war in Afghanistan, here's the former president bragging about how he's the one who set that in motion. And he set it in motion in a way that could not be stopped. Even though he said the Afghan government would definitely fall as soon as our troops left. He's bragging about that, right? He's getting applause for that from his supporters. And now, it's actually less than 8 weeks since he said that. U.S. troops, in fact, did leave, and the Afghan government did, in fact, immediately fall. And now he's leading his supporters in, unbridled, chest-pounding outrage that President Biden must resign, that it's so terrible that U.S. troops left and that the Afghan government fell. Again, whether or not you are for or against U.S. troops leaving Afghanistan, you can't be for it. You can't take credit for doing it, and for doing it in such a way that your successor could not reverse. You can't say you were for it, take credit for doing it, say that you made it so that nobody else had any choice, and then also be against it when it happens. Can you? I don't know. It seems like these days anything is possible. Take, for example, Republican Congressman Bill Posey of Florida. Here's a statement his office put out this week, Tuesday of this week. Quote, recent events in Afghanistan underscore the need for a proper plan when conducting military operations. Every effort should have been made to evacuate Americans, our allies, and military equipment before pulling out. Okay, fair enough. Every effort should have been made to evacuate our allies, Congressman Posey. Every effort? Every effort? 3 weeks before he put out that statement, Congressman Bill Posey of Florida was confronted with an actual thing he could do on this actual subject. Not theoretical, but what some might call making an actual plan related to military operations. 22nd of July, House of Representatives voted on whether or not to expedite the processing of special immigrant visas for our Afghan allies, for Afghan interpreters and contractors and security personnel who worked with U.S. forces in Afghanistan. He says this week, every effort should have been made to evacuate our allies. Literally 3 weeks, three weeks before that, he got the opportunity to vote, to make more of an effort to evacuate our allies, and he voted no on that. He voted no on doing more to evacuate our Afghan allies, and now he says he's outraged that more wasn't done. Can you do that? Can President Trump both take credit for withdrawing U.S. troops from Afghanistan, for setting it in motion in a way that could not be reversed, and also be against the fact that it happened? Can a congressman like Bill Posey in Florida be outraged that more was not done to make sure our Afghan allies were evacuated, right after he voted against doing more to make sure we would evacuate our Afghan allies? Can you? Can you do that?